These rolls came out so good.
So good!
How good were they?
So good!
Hello, welcome to Stevie's Earth-Based Kitchen, located on the intersection of veganism, healthy aging, and happiness. I am 52 years old and I'm on a journey to increase my health span or my healthy longevity while doing my most favorite thing in the world, which is cooking plant-based cuisine. And of course, I do want to help make this a better world for animals by showing you that plant-based cooking can be simple, easy, or fancy, frugal, completely nourishing and delicious. So what I do is I tell you a little bit about certain foods that will help you increase your health span. I'm going to be telling you a little bit about health benefits and the longevity benefits of legumes, and then we're going to make a whole bunch of legume dishes that don't look anything like beans. Like if you think that legumes looks like lentil loaves or veggie burgers and just dal or chilies or something like that, I'm going to show you that it can be a lot of things. It can be breads, it could be flatbreads and tofu and eggs and like so much. But I can't do it all in this one episode. So there's going to be a part 2 because there are just so many legume recipes that I want to show you. Did you know that legumes are associated with longevity more than any other food in the entire world? Which is why I'm kicking off this whole new version of my channel with legumes. So I read this NIH longitudinal study titled Legumes, the most important dietary predictor of survival in older people of different ethnicities. It was a study that featured 785 participants from all over the world, all different kinds of diets. And the participants were all over the age of 70. And they found out that for every 20 grams of legumes eaten, there was an 8% decrease in mortality. 20 grams of legumes is only 2 tablespoons of legumes. But then there was this meta-analysis. A meta-analysis is when they use several studies to answer the question that they're asking using statistics. A meta-analysis on 16 studies found that 150 grams of legumes, which is about 3/4 of a cup, decreased all-cause mortality by 16%. There have been other studies that suggest that people may live 8 to 13 more years just because they're eating legumes. So some people worry about legumes because they contain phytates and lectins. There's been a lot of people out there who've been saying that plant-based foods are super dangerous because they contain phytates and lectins, which are anti-nutrients. Phytates and lectins exist in most plants. They are anti-nutrients. They theoretically bind to certain nutrients, thus blocking your body's absorption of them. Nutrients such as zinc or iron, or in the case of lectins, I believe it's carbohydrates. And these are based on animal studies where they gave the animals isolated lectins or just raw beans. Like, who eats raw beans? And if you do eat raw beans, just stop. However, when we cook the beans, we deactivate most of these anti-nutrients. There are other things that you can do to actually even get more of the phytates and lectins out of the beans, like such as sprouting them first or soaking them first. Phytates and lectins also have benefits. They are antioxidants, they can help with cardiovascular disease, and we also know that just eating cooked beans has an enormous amount of benefits. I wrote down some notes because I don't remember it all. They reduce heart disease by 10%. That's awesome. They reduce inflammation slightly. It's not a huge decrease. Well, I mean, this is significant because there are a lot of people out there, especially like carnivores or people who are on keto diets and who just don't like vegetables. They're saying that plant foods increases inflammation because of the anti-nutrients like phytates and lectins. And that is objectively not true because beans and other plants that contain phytates and lectins actually reduce inflammation. So they also reduce cholesterol by adding beans to peopled diets I don't know what I wrote here. By adding beans to peopled deets for 3 to 8 weeks resulted in a 12-point reduction of total cholesterol and an 8-point reduction of LDL. Adding beans to peopled deets. And with diabetes, adding beans to peopled deets. Oh, diets! Oh my gosh. Adding beans to people's diets. Adding beans to people's diets for 3 to 8 weeks resulted in a 12-point reduction of total cholesterol and an 8-point reduction in LDL. Adding beans to people's diets for 7 weeks reduced fasting blood glucose and insulin in people with diabetes or who were pre-diabetic. And beans also reduce oxidative stress, which helps with healthy aging. Okay, and there's flavonoids. There's, especially for the coats, like the mung bean coat. There was a study done on mung beans. Flavonoids, like in the outer coating of the beans of mung beans, which are really helpful for healthy aging. I'm gonna lead you to a couple of my sources. I'm going to put links to some of the studies that I read and links to this YouTube channel called Niche PhD. She has a PhD, I think, in nutrition or diet. I'm not exactly sure, but her channel is all about nutrition. And she's not sensationalist. You know, she just talks about the facts, and I really love her channel. So let's go in the kitchen. Red lentil dinner rolls are super easy, but we have to do a little prep first. So we need to soak the red lentils. I'm taking about a cup of red lentils and I'm going to put about twice as much water over them because the lentils are going to swell about double their size. And then I'm going to soak them overnight, but you can soak them for about 4 hours. And you can soak them in the fridge or leave them on the kitchen counter. So it's the next day, and now I'm going to drain them, and I'm also going to give them a quick rinse. So now we're going to process them in the food processor with a 1/4 cup of whole psyllium husk and a 1/4 cup of water and a tablespoon of olive oil and some salt. Just a pinch of salt. That's about half a teaspoon. If you're watching your oil intake, you can leave out the oil, but it won't be as moist. The texture will suffer, but it will still work. Then we blend until we have a perfectly smooth dough. The reason why these rolls are so fluffy is because we put in an acid and baking soda and the reaction creates the fluff. So here I'm using about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. You can use lemon juice and 2/3 a teaspoon of baking soda. And I put them in after we use the food processor because after we knead it and we form our little rolls, we need to get them into the oven as fast as possible before the reaction dissipates. So now I'm rolling it into a log. And then I'm going to divide this log using my little cutter into, I think, 5 different sections. And then I make little rolls and I dip them in sesame seeds. It's really good that way. And then I put them in my cast iron pan and I get them in the oven as quickly as I can. Right, so we're going to plate our food. I made a jambalaya the other night with black-eyed peas, wild rice, okra. I actually made it last week and then I froze it. because when I went away to California, I wanted to make sure my husband had some food. So I can't actually remember everything that's in it anymore. And we're going to have our bread. Try it. Well, let's see what it looks like inside. Hopefully it turned out okay. Looks good. It's all split on the top. That's a good... Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at that. It's like fluffy inside. You see all this steam? It's amazing. I can't believe this is just lentils. That's really good. Lentils are like peppery. I love that peppery flavor. Let's try it just with a little butter. A little earth balance, just because. That is so good. Oh my God. High protein, gluten-free, filling, really good. And, you know, it has all the benefits that the lentils have. Someone else wants to try some. Here you go. Here you go. Want some too? You can have some. It's good for you too. Here you go. Yummy. It's that good. It's making you drool. Burmese tofu is easier to make than Japanese tofu because you don't have to use a coagulant, you don't have to press it, and you can make it with chickpea flour or by soaking chickpeas. So I'm weighing out these chickpeas. I'll put the measurements down below, and I'm going to be soaking the chickpeas overnight, but you can soak them for 4 hours if you want. And the next day, just like the red lentils, we drain them and rinse them out a little bit. And we blend it with a little bit of water, a little knob of unpeeled ginger, and some salt. And then we pour it into a pan to thicken it into a custard. I use a very well-seasoned cast iron pan. That's turmeric. And I guess I put the salt in then. And you want it really thick. Like this thick. You want it to stick to the spoon. So a lot of people put it into glass molds that are square. So you get very square cubes when you cut it. I just had this pie tin, and you know what? I forgot to prepare it too with oil, but it still came out fine. It didn't stick. It was good. And then you just put it in the fridge for a few hours or overnight. I did it overnight. So I made a little sauce for it with almond butter and maple syrup, miso, some lemon, a little garlic powder, and of course, more ginger. Later, I decided it could use a little bit of tamari and some gochujang paste. I love this paste. So I cut them into squares. I don't know where that footage went, I'm sorry, but they're now squares, and I put them in a flour sack cloth just to dry them out. That's garlic powder, and I'm just glazing the cast iron pan with oil, and I'm going to saute them. It's really good. They're kind of custard like, almost like flan. A little denser. You can actually strain the chickpea batter and make it a little bit more like flan. So these kind of broke off into the pan a little bit, but they came out really good still. So we're gonna have them with some roasted Brussels sprouts and some rice. A little avocado because we need to use our avocado up. And then we ladle our special sauce all over and sprinkle on some toasted sesame seeds. It came out delicious. Okay, so my green peas are pretty thawed. So I'm gonna start making my green pea hummus, but I wanna add mint to it. I'm just gonna kind of play with it. I don't have a recipe. I'm just gonna play with the flavors. I was gonna do green peas, yogurt, mint, maybe a little tahini, some lemon, salt and pepper. But the mint is outside in the terrible weather, but it's not raining like crazy right now, so I'm gonna go out and get it. Oh my God. Okay, I got a little mint. While I was out there, something fell down. Like, I don't know, trees fall down, it freaks me out. I was coming in, the wind started picking up, and then I heard this big stomp. So, I didn't really have tahini. I just had a little bit. So we're just gonna use yogurt because I saw a recipe for a green pea dip with mint and feta cheese. I think I can replicate that kind of idea with plant-based yogurt. So let's try it. Put that in there. I want at least a half a lemon. I think I'm going to end up using a whole lemon. So I took the mint off of the hard stems, but I left some of the stems. There's parsley and mint in there. So I took the mint off of the hard stems, the hardy stems, but I left some of the stems with the parsley. Give you an idea. This is the texture. I've used Kite Hill, I've used Forager. I like Forager a lot, and I like making my own. It's okay. It tastes like there's a little vanilla in it, which would make me really upset. No, I guess it's just the coconut. Coconut kind of has a vanilla flavor. Yeah, there's very little tang in this. Using about 3 large tablespoons. I know we want lots of pepper. Okay, let's taste it. Oh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. The peas are a little still frozen. Very sweet. A little bit more lemon. A lot more lemon. It's got a little bit of that vanilla flavor from the yogurt. Okay. Oh, I forgot the garlic. That'll make a difference. Oh, it's such a bright green, beautiful color. Look at that. It lacks density. I do have the tiniest bit of tahini in here, so I'm going to put some in here because it's more like a dressing than it is like a spread or a dip. And I kind of wanted more. Here, there's about a tablespoon of tahini. That should be good. I want it to be a little bit more like hummus. I'm going to see how a little bit of nooch would be in it. Let's put a little nooch because I'm going a little bit for that feta cheese flavor. Pinch a nooch in there. Let's see how this is. It smells noochy. It seems like when you put nooch in it, you kind of have to wait a little bit for the flavor of the nooch to get integrated. I like the nooch in it. Put nooch in it. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of nooch in there. You know what? I don't want to open another lemon, so I'm just going to put just a splash, like the tiniest splash of apple cider vinegar in the sample size. That might be too much. That's good. I don't know what it is exactly, but the combination of lemon and apple cider vinegar gives a really good tangy, umami flavor that works if you're trying to simulate cheese. Peas love black pepper. They love mint. They love black pepper. I'm putting a lot in there. It's good. This is like cold soup. It's really good. Too much pepper. Not really too much pepper. Got some stray pepper. We just transformed peas into hummus. You know what we can make with this? We can make a pasta sauce. Okay, there's a major storm going on right now. Tornadoes everywhere. Oh my God, our yard is all mud. I'm gonna do something with this green pea hummus that we made earlier. We're gonna make a pasta. First thing we're gonna do is roast some broccoli. A lot of people suggest that I'm watching the weather. These storms are driving me crazy. So you take the core out of the broccoli, and so many people recommend you roast it. They never get to my roasting pan because they're so tasty. They're just really earthy. Kind of remind me a little bit of artichoke hearts.
Is going to be for one of our incoming supercells. This one's really interesting to me.
There's so many tornado warnings near the coast. Kind of derailed my day. There's one north of Durham, hon. I want them good and small because we're going to put it in pasta. The broccoli in this bad boy. But first we want our broccoli deliciously crispy and kind of caramelized. We need to dry them out really well before we put them in our cast iron pan. And I'm only using about a tablespoon of oil. With oil is you can take a potato that's about 100 calories and turn it into 500 calorie fries. But if you're very careful about how much you use, I don't think it's a big deal. I roast the broccoli at 400 degrees until basically done, maybe 20 minutes. I'm using the Bonza cavatappi, which this is made of chickpeas as well. Did you just take bites of the vegetables? So now all we do is add the hummus to the pasta and the veggies. It's so easy. You can do this with store-bought hummus if you wanted to. Sometimes you might need to add a little bit more tahini to get it real creamy. Maybe even add a little water as well. So I put in a bunch of za'atar and Aleppo, and it is just so good this way. Yummy? Well, that's it for today. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell button so you'll be notified when I upload my sequel to this. Honestly, I have so many legume recipes, it might be a whole series. But thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you soon. And remember, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps.